Solomon Pagi, good morning, everyone. Solomon Pagi, good morning. For alumni, my name is Glenn Moody. I'm the principal of College Llanquid Jaffa, and I think you're all alumni, so it's a great pleasure to welcome you all back to the school. And thank you for giving up your time this morning, on a Saturday morning, in order to talk to our students. And I think they deserve a round of applause. I know one of the first thoughts you'll have as you come back to KTJ is just how much it's changed, and in particular, you're probably wondering why students are so soft these days and need air conditioning and good quality food. I think you could perhaps help us to tell them how good they actually have it at KTJ. I'm sure many of you look back fondly on the days of hot classrooms, and if you were here in the very early days, electricity going out in the evenings in the boarding house as well, and having to do your prep by candlelight. So things have changed significantly. But we really do appreciate having you with us today, and for the way that you're able to contribute to the KTJ community going forward. I'd also like to thank all the staff involved in organising things today, particularly Mr. Yarlett, who's put everything together. In a moment, he's going to play the drums for you. Mr. Yarlett has told me I don't have any verifiable source for this, but this is the most speakers we've had at one event in KTJ ever. I don't quite know how he's worked that out, but I'm willing to go with it. So congratulations to everyone involved in that. Thank you also to everyone else involved, Ms. Emma, Ms. Hema, Ms. Toria, Ms. Panita, everyone that helped make this day so fantastic and so worthwhile. And thank you to all the students for asking such fantastic questions as well. You may have spotted that one of the speakers had a very similar name to me, who was speaking online, perhaps with a bit of an accent that was quite hard to understand. I very much hope you asked him lots of extremely searching questions. I know there were some about Chat GPT, and I'm sure he was able to fudge some sort of answer for you on that. So I hope you have had a good day. We're now going to invite all the speakers to come up on stage, and then I'm going to pass over to Mr. Yarlett.
Okay, firstly then, good morning, students, staff, speakers. I hope you've had an enjoyable day so far, but more importantly, I hope it's been useful. As Glenn has already said, the speakers you see before you today used to be students at KTJ. My hope is that this morning has provided you an opportunity to hear the inspiring stories of your fellow students and look to make similar successes of your own lives. I also hope that you have learned along the way that to get to that successful point in your life, the journey isn't necessarily a straight line. And I'm sure the speakers will agree with that, right? Decisions will be made, opportunities appear and disappear, and you find a winding path through life, really. And I hope that you can see that the path of your own laid before you is one that you can follow to success too. So this session is an opportunity to ask any further burning questions you may have. I know that some students took a little bit of time to get out of their shells and ask some questions at the end of their sessions. So if you have any questions right now, you really want to ask one of the speakers that you saw, or perhaps one of the speakers that you didn't get a chance to see, then I'll be giving you an opportunity to do that shortly. I actually have a few questions of my own, so I'm going to hot seat you guys a little bit. I hope you don't mind. Yeah. I got to use the opportunity too, right? Okay, so I thought we would kick things off actually with a few questions I have for myself. Microphones are down here, hang on. Testing. The students might throw questions at you, but I'm gonna ask more general ones, okay? All right, my first question is this. For anyone who's interested in answering it. If you could travel backwards in time and give advice to the 18-year-old you, what would it be? Anyone willing to take this question? Don't be shy. Thanks, Shin.
Thank you. Basically, hello. Yep. So if I were to go back in time, I think, because as I was sharing in the sessions before, I was a very science student, as most Asians are. So if I would go back in time, I would enjoy life better. I would probably enjoy the prom in KTJ better. I would probably have more daring to ask, more people, enjoy the time here. I was a nerd. I was going through from science to art, and at that time there was only 3 art students, so it was not easy. And the teachers, Mr. Lim, was tough on us, and I think they recall for many of us here. So I would, because KTJ has its own lifestyles, and I think I would want to value that a bit more now that I'm out and life is a bit different.
Thank you very much. Anybody else would like to take that question? Advice to the 18-year-old you? Thank you, Aslina.
I think I'd probably go the opposite way. I think Faisal and I are probably the most senior ones here. We were both here since 1991. And I came in year 6, so technically I'm even older than him. And if anything, probably when we were the first batch, I think we had a lot of fun. Because the expectations of us in KTJ were actually pretty low, I think, compared to now. And if anything, I would look back and go, maybe I should have concentrated a little bit more on my studies. We might have enjoyed prom a bit too much compared to you. But I think realizing that difference and a balance was probably the right way to go. That would be my take on it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so my second, I won't hog all of the questions. If you do have any, you will be able to jump in just a moment. We could actually do the microphone to pass around the students. Benita, Emma, you guys are so organized. I appreciate it. Thank you. This next one's a little bit of a selfish question in the sense that it comes from the perspective of a teacher. So I have to ask, who was the most memorable or inspiring teacher you had at KTJ? They might still work here. And more importantly, why? What was it about them? What did they do? What is it that stuck with you? And maybe I can steal those ideas for myself.
Okay, I can answer that. Can I answer that?
Sure, Dede, how about you take this one first, and then Arwen will move over to you second.
Thanks, Thomas. Okay, so I was from Irina House, and 2 teachers actually. The bad one first. I mean, not bad, the bad good memories. Actually,
Okay,
the teacher
can we
was
cut the
good.
mic? Cut the mic.
Okay. I don't think Mr. Waddle is still around. Yeah, so it was Mr. Waddle because I will always remember him because I was being caught in Nakudin's house. Wow. Just was on the last day of school, and that was for fun, guys. We didn't do anything. It was a group of girls and group of boys. I wouldn't want to
Don't get
mention
any
names.
ideas.
I will always remember Mr. Waddle. I got into a little bit of trouble, but I was safe again. So I was back to school the next year after. And the good one, because I did A-levels art, so there was Mr. Lim. I can't even remember his full name. Nadia, will you remember his full name? Yeah, there was two Mr. Lim. Yeah, she would know him. Yeah, so there were two Mr. Lims. There's Mr. Lim for arts, who was teaching A-levels art, and then the other one would be Mr. Lim, who was teaching A-levels maths, right? So yes, he had shaped me to, I actually got awarded for the best student in A-levels art. I received the award from the king. He actually shaped me into the person I am today. In fact, back in the days, I think if you visited the school, my art was all over the cafeteria because my art was all very angry and dark. I mentioned in some of the sessions earlier. But yes, those were the two teachers that I always remember.
Thank you. Mine would actually be Mr. Adrian Nebbit. Yeah, my drama teacher. I think he was one gentleman who was just so passionate about whatever he did. And every time he taught us, it didn't feel like a classroom. And he was so effective at just bringing out the talent in someone like me who's just so boring, I feel. Right? So, yeah, he's one of that very inspiring and a figure which I remember today. I follow him on Facebook. If you guys have not started doing that, you'll learn so much about Malaysian reptiles and birds. So, yeah, thank you, Mr. Adrian Nabbit.
Okay, thank you very much. Absolutely, go ahead.
Hello. During my time, there was this teacher called Mr. Lawrence Rimmer. Everyone was scared of him. He was the son of the principal, and he was an English teacher. And unfortunately, there was two English classes. The first English class was a local teacher, and I was in the second class, which was taught by Mr. Lawrence Rimmer. Everyone in the class was very playful, and whenever somebody did not do anything right, it was always my fault. If the other students did not do something right, detentions happens, and I'm always involved in those detentions. Why? Because I'm always the one helping those who make the mistake. So it was interesting because I never had a foreign teacher before. So coming to KTJ, being exposed to a foreign teacher really opened up my mind in terms of how things have been taught and how we perceive teachers back then. And I thank you to KTJ for allowing me to have interactions with teachers, not just locally, but also from abroad. And that really shaped my life to become who I am throughout my education life.
Thank you all of you for your answers. Over to you. Any remaining burning questions that you'd like to ask the speakers? Final opportunity of the day. We've got a hand up over there. Thank you.
Hello, testing. Hi, I'm Hasha. I'm from Jawa here. So I have a question specifically to Ms. Nadia. Okay, so I actually didn't get the chance to attend one of your talks earlier, but a lot of my friends have been talking about your talks. They were like, did you guys go to Miss Nadia? She's like some sort of superwoman, Like she has a day job, she's very passionate about humanitarian work and stuff like that. So for all of us who didn't manage to listen to your talk, could you at least kindly tell us maybe one interesting story, any life stories, or how do you manage that kind of superwoman stuff you do? Because we're really interested to find out. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, thank you very much for those who attended my session and thought it was useful. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. I just had this conversation with your dear principal who was asking me which part about my life did I decide to share. He was asking me that. Okay, so maybe with a bit of context, I was from Irina, so got two Irinas here flanking. And I had both Mr. Lim Art and Mr. Lim Science, because I was one of those students who did pure science, but also decided to aggravate and torture yourself by doing extra subjects for art. So totally loved it, by the way. Where I'm at now, maybe let me give you what I do now. Then you can ask me the question, because otherwise I think the question will be too big. My day job is I'm heading strategy and programs for Indonesia's largest tech ecosystem. I work for the GoTo Group, in particular their Impact Foundation. In Malaysia, I am a child court advisor, an assistant child protector, an anchor with Bernama TV, co-founders of two social enterprises, which is Opis and Play Unlimited. I'm a sustainability and corporate affairs consultant. And regionally, I am also the president of the Malaysian Rare Disorders Society and the Phelan McDermott Syndrome Foundation regional representative for Southeast Asia, India, Oman, South Korea, Qatar, and Algeria. So thank you, KTJ, for giving me this immersion. I started in KTJ when I was 16, and I was the last batch of SIMDABI's scholars that went into Form 4. So I think maybe you need to kind of zoom in the question of what story you want me to tell. Then I can tell you a little bit about what stories you want. No? Okay.
Okay, wow, the list just goes on and on. It's really impressive. Okay, maybe a more specific question would be, like, you have so many like interests and passion I can see, because you're like involved in so many other things. Have you ever had like maybe a doubt that I'm just pursuing like too many things? Like maybe some people are like, you're doing too much or things like that. Like, how do you like overcome that, and like what's your motivation to like, just like do what you love and like all these other things and like balancing these things? Yeah.
Okay, great. Bismillah. I love that question. First and foremost, before I started the madness that I am in right now, it was about 15 and a half years working for SIMDABI. I think a lot of you know that it's a government-linked company. And I was doing one thing, or one main thing, with small side gigs, right? Because I was always clear that my work, as many hours as it would take a day, was not going to be something that defined me. Please don't let your jobs be what defines you. Yes, it pays the bill. If you can find a job that you're very passionate about, then yes, do that. But after 15 and a half years, I decided from saying yes or no, and the guys who were in my session knows this, I switched to why not. And that was how that floodgate of so many different things, I can now sit here and confidently tell all of you that every day of my working day is like play. And I enjoy what I do, and I'm passionate about the things that I'm doing, and I love the people that I'm working with, and I learn from them every day. Now, when I say job, you think of job as you work, you get gaji, you get paid, you pay the bills. But if you look at it as purpose, what drives you, what are the types of impact that you want to make, and that impact might be to get your first yacht, or to drive your first Beamer, or to own the first Tesla. That's fine, you do you, right? But for me, I realized earlier on, right from the time I was in KTJ, that my main driving factor were two things. One was purpose. I had to believe in the purpose of what I was doing, otherwise I wouldn't say yes to it. And the second was love. Be it love among your friends, love among people, love for the job that you're doing. Now, if you can balance those two, you'd be able to get more rights than wrong. And I bet you, all of these amazing people here would have failed many times. I've failed probably more times than I've succeeded. But every time you fail is an opportunity to get back up. Every single thing that we've done in KTJ was a bit of an oopsie. It's an oopsie now. You're going to look back at it and say, hey, that was pretty fun times. You see, everybody's laughing, right? I mean, my roommate decided to jump from the first floor and land on the ground floor and cracked her back. Okay, so that's that kind of level of stuff that we were doing. Okay, God bless her. She's now pushing for citizenship and human rights for children of people married to expatriates in Malaysia. So don't let what you do today define where you're going to be. All right? Okay, now I got your eyes open. All right, pass to you.
Timing wise, I honestly would spend the next 2 hours doing this. I think this is super interesting. I think we can squeeze in one more question from the audience at the back of the room there. No? I think there is a hand up at the back. Sorry, just over there. Okay, last question from you guys, and then we'll let you head off a little bit late to your period 5 class. Do apologize on behalf of me. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Mia, and this question is directed specifically to Miss Dida Rizwani. And I would just like to say that you are very much an inspiration to me personally as a woman who works in public affairs in a very male-dominated industry. And this question also goes out to all the other female speakers. How do you get over the bias or the struggles of being a woman in a male-dominated industry? I'd love to hear all your thoughts.
Very simple one-liner answer I will give you, Maya. Thank you for enjoying the sessions earlier. My answer would be, think like a man. If I'm always surrounded by 10 men, like I mentioned in my sessions earlier, in all international community and local community as well, in my meetings with the high levels and all levels, right? I'm always the only female standing amongst a group of men. And I always have to think like them, but have little of women's touch whenever I feel something is not being said right or something is not being delivered right. I wouldn't just keep quiet. I would say my piece and put them in their space. Politely.
Okay, thank you so much for the questions. They are going to be doing tours around school, all of the speakers. I think most of you at least. You will probably bump into them, and if you have any remaining questions, I'm sure they would be happy to answer those there and then. Before you go to your next session, actually, I'd like to call up the ambassadors to help me with just one final task. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so when I call up the speaker's name, can the assigned ambassador come up and please hand that speaker a thank you card and a gift bag from us to show our appreciation to all of you for coming to this event. Matthew Leong, thank you very much. Yoska De Jong. Angel Lee. Deda Rizwani. Sophia Mastan. Siaza Nazura. Shen Lam. I'll try my best, Arwin. Arwin Mugamurthy. Mina Azman. Nadia Hanin. Bryce Priacorn. Faisal Bahadon. Reza Baharin. Azlina Amir Abbas. And the three speakers who are online, I guess I gotta post these. Thank you, all of you, so much for attending this event, and I hope you appreciate the small little gifts. And actually, I'd like you to take a look inside. You might spot something quite nice in there. We took a group photo together right at the beginning of the day. Someone has gone out and got it printed and framed. I hope you can keep that as a memory of today. And we really appreciate you coming. And we actually have a bonus guest who I'd like to invite on stage, who has just arrived. Thank you so much. You may have heard of her. Raleen Shah is an actor, model, and public figure. She has starred in movies. She's appeared in on magazine covers. With currently 8.2 million followers on Instagram, she is certainly not shy of an audience. Please introduce yourself, and if you'd like to do a small speech for a few minutes, we'd be most grateful. Thank you so much.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Raleen Shah. I was here 1999 to 2004 or 2003. Correct me if I'm wrong. I came to KTJ in Form 3 and I left after my A-levels. It's so nice to be here after 20 years. Some of you weren't even born when I was here, I think. I believe that. I was invited by Toria, so graciously invited by Toria, but unfortunately I couldn't come earlier. But thank you for having me, and I just wanted to share a few things with you that I think could have helped me so much if I knew it when I was in KTJ. So I don't know if all of you are here by will. I wasn't. My parents put me here, and in the beginning I really resisted and I was very unhappy. And then I changed my mindset. I said, if I have no choice of being somewhere or being with someone or being in a situation, I'm going to learn to love it. I'm going to try to fall in love with this place. So I gave it a chance. And I made it work for me, because it's not naturally made to work for you if you're a young kid that wants a lot of freedom and doesn't want to wear a uniform and wants to eat any time of the day, sleep any time of the day like I was back then. And I didn't like the discipline here because I'm a creative spirit. I've always been, and I thought, this is so rigid, I'm gonna suffer. And I have my Juan Sabrina here, my house mistress back then, which supported me so much in finding my voice and finding what I was good at, and gave me so many opportunities in athletics and sports that I managed to thrive in. And so I wanted to share that with you. Whatever situation you're in, if you cannot leave it, you must fall in love with it. Secondly, the bonds that I've created here, I can't compare it to any other bonds I've made all these years throughout my career, because here, the friends I have here fell in love with my essence, fell in love with all the bad things about me and the good things about me. And so the bonds that I created here with the teachers and the students, because these are the years where, you know, you're learning about yourself, you're learning about the world, but in such a safe space. And you may not appreciate this safe space now, but you will appreciate it so much when you get out into that jungle, it's called the real world, where food is not served on time. Up to, when I was here, I was complaining about the food. So guess what? I became a part of the food council because that's what you do. You want to be in charge of something, you want to change something, you have to be in a position of power. So I learned that very fast. So I didn't like the food, and I was like, I'm going to be a part of the food council. And when you're out there in the world, you're like, oh, I wish someone would just choose the food for me, like in KTJ, and all I have to choose is Asian and Western. I don't know if it's still like that. So it's a really safe space where you have food, you have shelter, you have teachers who are looking out for your well-being, and all you have to do is just look out for your own well-being and make it work for you. And then third is, what was it again, Sasha? Third is, honestly, I wish I spent more time with myself in KTJ. I know that the schedule is so, fast-paced. When I was here, I did theater. I did all the house sports because Ponsub signed me up for everything because she didn't want me to be a real little rascal and sleep. I did a lot of theater. I did a lot of sports, and I excelled quite well academically, but I didn't spend enough time with myself. Like if you guys have time now, there's so many resources. Now you guys have a smartphone in school, I think. Can you use your phone in school? Okay. You can YouTube some little tools, some little technologies that you can use on yourself, yoga, meditation, to spend time with yourself and see how you feel throughout the day and what makes you energized. And then you can follow that path, what you like to do in your free time, maybe for extracurricular. Because when I was your age, I feel like I was being pushed here, left, right, center. I didn't really know what it was that was my passion. Even acting, I only discovered it much later on when I graduated from university. So I just wanted to thank the Alumni Association and also KTJ for inviting me here today. I hope that I can help you guys if you have any questions and answers after this with any of your concerns here at KTJ. I don't know if it's applicable because I'm not the best exemplary student. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Adrian Nebbett, for shaping me with all the challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really think, those messages of finding your own path and being true to yourself and finding that support network for you that helps you to achieve whatever your dreams are going to be. It's a good message and one that I hope you'll take with you this morning. Thank you once again, because we got to get these students off to their lesson. To all of you, one more question. To all of the speakers who've attended, I'm extremely grateful, and I think the students are too. So one final round of applause, and then you can head out.